This story is an intense and interesting story. Before we start, do grab some popcorn, a blanket, and be comfortable. Share with your loved ones. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell notification to stay updated. Enjoy. It was the day of her wedding when Achalugo stood in front of the mirror, staring at her reflection, feeling like a stranger in her own skin. The man she had promised herself to was not the one she loved, not the one who had sworn to marry her, and not the one who had once made her heart race with excitement. Instead, she was here, in a lavish white dress, about to marry a man she barely knew, a man who made her feel uneasy. Something was wrong. She could feel it in her bones. The day had begun like any other, but it was far from ordinary. Achalugo had always been the pride of her late father's dreams. A bright, independent woman, she had finished her education and gone for her National Youth Service Corps, NYSC, in Lagos. She was a nurse now, poised and confident, and ready to take on the world. Growing up, Achalugo had lived with her mother after her father's untimely death when she was just 5 years old. Her father had been a man of humble means, but he had big dreams for his daughter. He had wanted her to be educated, to be someone who would change the world. His death had left her with a hole in her heart, but her mother had picked up the pieces, raising Achalugo with fierce determination. Achalugo was not only intelligent and hardworking, but she was also a beauty to behold. Tall, graceful, with smooth, radiant skin and sparkling eyes, she was a damsel who could dazzle anyone with just a glance. Men who saw her couldn't help but stare in admiration. Her smile could brighten the darkest day, and her presence was enough to make any room feel lighter. She was the talk of the town, the pride of her village, and her beauty was renowned far and wide. It wasn't just her appearance that captured hearts, it was the warmth of her spirit, the kindness in her eyes, and the way she carried herself with such elegance. Because of her beauty, Achalugo had many suitors. She was loved by all who knew her, not just for her looks but for her gentle nature and humble heart. Yet, despite the constant stream of men who vied for her attention, there was only one man who had captured her heart, the one she loved with all her being. And that man was Emeka. It was during her service in Lagos that she met Emeka, a fellow NYSC Corps member. They had been placed in the same state, and their bond grew stronger with each passing day. He wasn't rich, far from it. He worked hard, just like she did, and their lives were simple. But they made each other laugh, comforted each other in times of stress, and shared their dreams. "I go marry you, Achalugo," he would say, holding her hand and laughing. And she would reply, "Odogwu, please," smiling with her whole face. She had loved him, truly loved him. Despite not having money or a title, Emeka had something far more valuable to her, his heart. He promised that he would hustle, build himself up, and come back for her. And Achalugo had believed him. There was no doubt in her mind. He was the one. When the time came for them to part after their service, Achalugo cried. She didn't want to let him go. "Promise me, Emeka," she begged, her voice shaky with emotion. "Promise me you'll come back and marry me." "I promise," he had said with a soft, affectionate smile. "I'll come back, I'll hustle, and I'll be the man you deserve. Until then, wait for me, Achalugo." She had waited. Her mother, however, had other plans. Achalugo's heart was torn as she stood in front of her mother's small hut, watching the woman she loved and respected grow weaker by the day. Her mother had raised her alone after the death of her father when Achalugo was only 5. "Even since then my mother have promised to my dad to provide her with everything she need. For all these years, she had been her mother's world. Yet now it seemed that her mother's world was fading." "Mama," Achalugo whispered, kneeling beside her mother who lay on the straw mat. "I'm here, Mama." Her mother's frail hand reached out to hold hers. "Achalugo, my daughter," her mother croaked, her voice weak and raspy. "I want you to marry him, an Odogwu, wealthy, who has money to take you and your mom Chief Yuzo. He is an Odogwu. He will take care of you." "Mama, no," Achalugo whispered, shaking her head. "I cannot marry him. I have someone already, Emeka. He promised me he would return for me. I love him." But her mother's eyes darkened with frustration. "Don't be foolish, my child. Emeka has nothing. Chief Yuzo is a powerful man. He has money, land, and influence. He will provide for you, give you everything you need. You can't waste your life on a poor man. I don't care about money, Mama, Achalugo protested, her voice trembling. I love Emeka. He is all I need. But her mother's grip tightened. Please, Achalugo, I don't have much time. I am not asking for much. Just marry him for me. For your future. Her mother's words weighed heavily on her heart. She couldn't bear to see the woman she loved suffer. But even as she agreed, her heart broke for the man she had come to love, Emeka. The pressure grew as days turned into weeks and weeks into months. Achalugo's mother was sick, and the doctors could offer no solution. Her health was failing, and she grew more insistent about the man she wanted Achalugo to marry. Meanwhile, he got them gifts and food provisions while she was in the hospital. This man was from Anambra, wealthy, and an Odogwu in every sense. He had everything, the house, the cars, the business. His name was Chief Yuzo, and he was handsome, but there was something cold and unsettling about him. He would visit her, shower her with gifts, and take her out to fancy restaurants and shopping malls, trying to win her over. But something about him didn't sit right with Achalugo. Still, she refused him. I have someone I love, someone who's promised me, she told him each time. But her mother, desperate and weak, grew more demanding. You will marry him, Achalugo. Do it for me. I don't have much time. Achalugo felt trapped. She didn't want to disappoint her mother, but she also didn't want to betray her own heart. She had sworn to Emeka, and that promise had meant everything to her. But eventually, the situation became unbearable. Her mother's health worsened, and Achalugo's guilt grew heavier. In a moment of weakness and despair, Achalugo agreed to marry Chief Yuzo. It didn't take long for Chief Yuzo to start showering Achalugo with affection. He was everything her mother had promised, rich, influential, and determined to win her heart. He took her shopping, bought her gifts, and even brought her flowers. Chief Yuzo was charming, always smiling, always praising her beauty. He treated her like a queen, and for a while, she began to believe that maybe her mother was right. Maybe this was the life she was supposed to have. But in the back of her mind, she couldn't stop thinking about Emeka. She missed him, and she knew he was still out there, working hard to build a future for them. But now, with her mother's health failing, Achalugo couldn't find the courage to defy her. Her mother's health was worsening, and every day, she looked more frail and exhausted. To save her mother's life, Achalugo agreed to marry Chief Yuzo. The wedding was grand, the kind of ceremony most women could only dream of. Chief Yuzo's wealth and influence made everything easy. But Achalugo's heart wasn't in it. She was only going through the motions, keeping her promise to her mother, though she couldn't escape the feeling of being trapped in a life she hadn't chosen. Hello viewers, before we continue with this interesting and amazing story, we would love you to be part of our family. Subscribe today and turn the notification button now. See you at the end. Enjoy till the end. After the wedding, Chief Yuzo took Achalugo to Anambra, where he had a mansion built just for them. It was a beautiful home, surrounded by green fields and luxury, but it felt like a prison to Achalugo. The walls, though adorned with gold and silk, felt cold and unfamiliar. And Chief Yuzo's behavior began to change. At first, he was affectionate and kind, always buying her gifts and taking her out to expensive restaurants. But soon after they moved into the mansion, his true nature began to show. He started to control her, telling her what to wear, where to go, and how to behave. He insisted that she stop working, telling her that it was his job to provide for her. He wanted her to be a full housewife, and he made it clear that she was not to leave the house without his permission. At first, Achalugo tried to resist, but Chief Yuzo's temper was quick to flare. He would shout at her for the smallest mistakes, then apologize with flowers and sweet words. But it didn't take long for the apologies to stop and the beatings to begin. Achalugo would cry herself to sleep some nights, her body bruised from his anger, but she stayed quiet. She had promised her mother she would stay, and she couldn't leave. The promises she had made to Emeka now felt like a distant memory, though her love for him never faded. She tried to speak to him, to remind him of the man he once was, but he dismissed her feelings. "You're my wife now, Achalugo," he would say, "you don't have a choice." The final blow came when Yuzo hit her for the first time. She had never imagined that the man who had once seemed so perfect could turn so cruel. It was in that moment that Achalugo realized the true price of her decision. She had traded the love of her life for a man with money, and it had cost her more than she could ever repay. It was too late to turn back now. She was married, her mother was pleased, but Achalugo was broken inside. She had been won by her own heart, but the pressure had been too much. As she stood before the mirror on the day of her wedding, Achalugo remembered Emeka's promise. She remembered the love they had shared, the simple, beautiful life they had dreamed of together. Tears filled her eyes as she realized that, no matter what she had done, it could never bring her back to him. She had chosen the path her mother wanted, not the path her heart had yearned for. One afternoon, Achalugo was talking with one of the servants in the mansion when she overheard a conversation that made her blood run cold. "You know, Chief Yuzo has had 5 wives in less than 5 years, the servant said, shaking his head. "He changes women like clothes." Achalugo's heart sank. 5 wives. How could that be? She had no idea that she was the 5th wife. And what about his claim that he loved her? But as the conversation continued, a darker truth began to emerge. The servants whispered about how Chief Yuzo had been impotent for years. He had only married her to maintain his image, but he could never have children. Most people said that he sacrificed his manhood. That explained why there were no children in their home. It also explained his obsession with replacing his wives so quickly. They were just part of a twisted cycle. A cold realization hit Achalugo. She had married a man who only wanted her to be a trophy, another possession. She wasn't a wife in his eyes, but just another item to check off in his long list of conquests. One fateful day, while she was still living in Chief Yuzo's house but trying to gather strength to leave, she noticed something strange again. Chief Yuzo always locked one room in the house. It was at the end of the hallway, far from their bedroom. He never let her go near it. She had asked once, and he shouted so badly that she cried herself to sleep. But that day, he forgot to lock it properly. Her curiosity got the better of her. Slowly, she opened the door. What she saw made her freeze. In the middle of the room, there was a clay pot wrapped with red cloth. Beside it was the body of a young woman, pale and lifeless, vomiting fresh dollar notes into a metal basin. Candles burned at the 4 corners of the room. There were strange markings on the walls, and the smell was heavy and foul. Achalugo's legs almost gave way. "He is a cult," she whispered aloud. Fear wrapped around her throat as she turned to run. Just as she stepped into the hallway, she heard the gate creak. Chief Yuzo had returned. Heart pounding, she quickly shut the door and ran into the kitchen, pretending to be washing plates. He didn't suspect anything. But from that day, she was never the same. A week later, her mother died suddenly. Achalugo cried bitterly. In her heart, she knew her mother had been used for ritual. The timing, the way her mother's body looked, the way the doctor said they couldn't explain it, it all pointed to one thing. But she had no proof. Meanwhile, far away, Emeka's life was changing. God had finally blessed him. His small business grew. He started importing electronics. From one shop, he opened 5. He bought land, built a house, got cars. People now called him Odogwu Porara. But his heart never forgot Achalugo. He dreamed about her often. In one dream, she was crying and reaching out for help. One day, he remembered the address she gave him long ago in Soccer precisely. He traveled there. He knocked at the door, but nobody answered. A neighbor came out. "Are you looking for Achalugo?" the woman asked. "Yes." Emeka replied quickly. The woman shook her head sadly. Her mother died. And she married one big man in Anambra. But people say the man is wicked. He beats her. They said she tried to run once. Emeka's heart broke. He knew then that Achalugo was in trouble. He promised himself he would find her. Emeka now lived in Anambra too. It was where he ran most of his business. He never stopped looking. Then one day, as he was driving home from a meeting, he saw a lady walking slowly on the side of the road. Her face was swollen. She had bruises everywhere. Her dress was torn at the edges. She looked tired and weak. Something about her stopped him. He slowed down, rolled down the window, and looked closely. "Achalugo," he called out. She turned slowly. She didn't recognize him at first. But when he stepped out and walked toward her, her eyes widened. "I'm Emeka," he said gently. Her lips trembled. Tears filled her eyes. "Emeka. I found you," she whispered. He opened the car door. "Come, let's go somewhere and talk." They drove to a quiet eatery. A small place with soft music. The waiter came. "What will you eat, madam?" "Just water," she muttered. "Achalugo, you need to eat something," Emeka said. "Where have you been all this while?" she asked. He told her everything. His struggles, his hustle, how he became successful. How he searched for her. Then she told him her story. How her mother pressured her. How Chief Yuzo treated her. And then she told him about the red cloth, the clay pot, the dead girl, the vomiting dollars. "He killed my mother," she said with tears. "I know it. But I have no proof." Emeka held her hand. "You're not going back to him. I have to. If he sees me with you, he will kill me." Emeka gave her money for medication and cab. "Take this. I will fight for you." That night, Chief Yuzo was furious. As soon as she entered, he started beating her again. "Where are you coming from? Who were you with?" She didn't say a word. He dragged her into a room and locked her in. Emeka had enough. The next day, he reported Chief Yuzo to the police. He hired a strong lawyer and filed a case against him. He also helped Achalugo file for divorce. Chief Yuzo tried to fight back, but Emeka was now a man of influence. He had people. He had proof. With time, the authorities raided Chief Yuzo's house. They found the room. They saw the evidence. He was arrested and charged with multiple crimes, including domestic abuse and ritual killings. He tried to bribe his way out. It didn't work. He died in prison. Achalugo healed slowly. Emeka was patient. He helped her start again. 2 years later, they got married. She gave birth to a set of twins, 2 boys. The day she held them in her arms, she cried tears of joy. They lived happily in Anambra, far from the pain of the past. Moral lesson. Never trade your peace for riches. A peaceful life is more valuable than a life filled with pain, even if wrapped in gold. Parents must listen to their children. Forcing them into marriage for gain can destroy their lives. Love is patient. True love never gives up. It may take time, but it always finds its way. Evil never lasts. Justice may be slow, but it always comes. And finally, never ignore your instincts. Sometimes, the quiet voice inside is the only thing trying to save you. Achalugo survived. And now, she smiles again. Because real Odogwu showed up, not in money first, but in love. The end.
Hi guys, thanks for watching and staying to the end of this video. Do subscribe to this channel and be part of our family. Like this video and share to your loved ones. Stay tuned for more folk tales and story content on this channel. Thank you very much.